welcome back. So in today's video I am going to share with you my fried chicken sandwich recipe on brioche buns, and it's going to be delicious. We are going to start off by making the brioche buns. While they're rising and getting all nice and lovely, we're going to marinate our chicken. So I'm going to show you everything you're going to need for the brioche buns. We're going to start off with that, and let's get started. Okay, you guys, for the brioche buns, this is all you're going to need. You're going to need some flour, some eggs. I've got an egg and some water here that I'm going to use later when we bake them. It's just an egg wash. I've got some salt, sugar, a little bit of oil, some yeast, room temperature softened butter, and some lukewarm water. Okay guys, we are going to start off with our yeast mixture. I've got about 1/4 cup of lukewarm water here, and I'm going to add in my sugar and my yeast, and I'm just going to give this a little stir just to help mix all of this up. It doesn't have to be completely mixed. Alright, now we're going to set this aside for about 5 minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes, until it gets nice and foamy and frothy, and it smells like yeast. It smells like bread. It smells good. If it does not foam up, your yeast is probably bad, or your water is too cold. You're probably going to have to start over. So I'm just going to set this aside, and then we will start on our bread portion. Okay guys, all I did was just added my salt to my flour. I don't want to add it to my yeast mixture because it will kill the yeast. And make sure you mix it really well into the flour. And go ahead and attach your dough hook to your standing mixer. You can completely do this by hand if you would like. That's fine. So this is all nice and well mixed. So while my yeast finishes proofing, that's all we're going to do for now. I'll meet you back here in just a second and we'll finish this up. Okay guys, my yeast has proofed beautifully. Now all we're going to do is pretty much just add everything into the bowl. I'm going to add in my yeast mixture. Get all of that yeast in there. And we're just going to give this a little mix just for everything to start coming together. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our eggs one at a time, and we're going to add our butter just about 1 tablespoon or 2 at a time until everything is very well combined and it's slightly sticky dough. I'll show you what it looks like when it gets there. Okay guys, it is there. Now keep in mind this is a sticky dough, so all I'm going to do is just oil my hand so the dough doesn't stick to it as much, and then just take that off, take my dough hook off. So all I'm going to do is move this into my oiled bowl really quickly. Move things around here. Get this out. Now keep in mind it's a very sticky dough, so we will add more flour to it later. So I don't want it to be too dense. And that looks beautiful. So I'm just going to move this around into my bowl here and get it nice and coated in that oil like that. Now all I'm going to do is cover this in plastic wrap really well. And then I'm going to put this in a warm place, draft free. Sometimes I put it in my oven. Sometimes I put it in my laundry room because it stays nice and warm in there all of the time. So just find the warmest place in your house that's draft free and put it in there for about an hour or so until it's doubled in size. Okay guys, for my chicken marinade, what you're gonna need is some buttermilk. I've got some chicken breasts here. This is 3 chicken breasts. I just cut them in half to make 2 thin sliced chicken breasts. For my herbs, I've got some thyme. In here I've got rosemary, parsley, basil, and some green onion. All we're going to do is just add all of our herbs into our bowl here, along with our thyme. Now, you don't have to use the same mix as I do. You can use whatever you have on hand. That will work fine. Also, I am going to put in here some garlic powder. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper because I want to flavor the chicken really well. We're also going to be making a sauce, an herby sauce later to go onto the chicken. Now you can add as much or as little hot sauce that you like. I want mine to have a little bit of zing to it. So I'm going to add that in. About a teaspoon of onion powder. And about a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm going to give this a mix. That's good. I'm going to add in my chicken right in there and make sure they're all covered in that marinade. Alright, now that I've got all of them in there and they're completely covered, all I'm going to do is cover this with some plastic wrap and set this aside for about an hour or so until we are ready to fry them up. Okay guys, for my sauce that I'm going to put on to my chicken sandwiches, I've just got some mayo in here and I thinned it out just slightly with a little bit of milk. I still want it a spreadable consistency. I just want it slightly thinned out. I've got some salt, pepper, and some herbs. Now, this is pretty much the same thing as I've got in my marinade. I've got some thyme, some basil, rosemary, and some green onion, or scallions, however you want to call them. So I'm just going to add all of this into my mayo mixture here, with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. And I'm just going to give this a mix until it's all nice and combined. Like that. Okay guys, so that is nice and well mixed. All I'm going to do now is to put my lid on, and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator until we are ready to put this on the sandwiches. Okay guys, so my dough has risen very well. All I'm going to do is pour this out onto my little plastic, silicone, whatever you want to call it, little thing here. Make sure I get all of my dough on there. Now I don't want to work this dough too much. I want to keep it nice and light. So all I'm going to do is just kind of work this until it comes together. It should take about 3 or 4 minutes. Now if it gets too sticky, you can add flour, but that is why I like to use this little pastry mat here. It helps keep from adding too much flour. So all I do is just put whatever oil that's in the bowl onto the little mat here, and it keeps from adding too much flour. But if you think you need it, go ahead and add some. So I am just going to work this dough for another minute or two, and then we will cut it into 6 pieces, 6 even pieces, and then we will let it do another rise. Okay guys, so I've got my dough worked very well. All I'm going to do now is just cut this in half. Got my little bench scraper here, and I'm just going to cut this into half, and I'm going to cut these into thirds so I can make 6 little buns here. Some look like it'll be a little bit bigger than the other, but that's fine. Okay, now all I'm going to do is just work these and make these into little bun shapes. I just kind of roll and tuck under the bottom side, and then I just kind of set them to the side, and then I just keep doing this to all 6 of these. Okay guys, I've got my dough balls made, and all I'm going to do is just put these onto my sheet tray here. I've got parchment on there. I'm just going to put them on there, pretty good length apart. Make sure they stay somewhat in a circle. I am going to go ahead and brush these with a little bit of egg wash, just to help keep them nice and moist so they don't dry out. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this just to keep them from drying out. And we will brush them again with a little bit of egg wash before they go into the oven. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this back up with the plastic wrap that I had from earlier, and I'm going to cover that up with a tea towel, and I'm going to put it back in a nice warm place for about an hour, about 30 minutes to an hour, just so they can rise for a second time. And then I will meet you right back here for the next step. Okay guys, so the buns have doubled in size. I'm just going to take this plastic wrap off, and we are going to brush them with a little bit more egg wash right on top. And this is just going to help them brown up very nicely in the oven. I've got my oven preheated, or it's preheating to 400 degrees. And all we're going to do is pop these in the 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until the top is nice and golden brown and they are puffy and beautiful. Alright. Straight to the oven they go. Okay guys, so I've got my chicken here. It's been marinating for about 2 hours now. I've got my spice mixture here. I've got some flour, pepper, salt, garlic powder, smoked paprika, baking powder, cayenne pepper, and onion powder. Now you can use whatever spices that you prefer. I want mine slightly spicy and full of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and mix all of this together really well. And we are going to do a double coating on this flour mixture, or on the chicken, because I want the chicken to be nice and crispy. I've got my pan with about 2 inches of oil preheating to 350 degrees. So all I'm going to do is take my chicken. I'm going to put it in the flour, coat this chicken with the flour, shake off a little bit of the excess, dip it back into the the buttermilk mixture, and put it back into the flour mixture, and get that nice and coated on both sides. And then I'm just going to transfer this to my plate, and I'm just going to keep doing this until I've got them all breaded. Okay guys, my oil has preheated to 350 degrees. I turned it down slightly because I don't want the oil to get too hot. I have a sheet tray here with a like a rack on it so I can drain the chicken. I've got my chicken breaded here and it is ready to go into the pan. So I'm going to add about 3 pieces because I don't want to overcrowd the pan, and be very careful putting these in. You don't want to splash yourself. We're going to let these cook for about 2.5 minutes on one side, flip it over and cook it another 2.5 minutes on the other side. After they've cooked, we're going to set them over here so we can drain them. So I'm going to go ahead and cook all of these, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay guys, so my brioche buns are out of the oven and they've cooled slightly. My chicken is done and nice and crispy. I've got my sauce and I've got some pickles. Now you can add lettuce and tomato to this if you want. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to add some of my sauce onto the bottom of my little bun here, like that. I'm going to add some pickle. You can add as many as you like. I'm going to add about 3. I'm going to add my chicken, and I'm going to add some of the sauce to the top of the bun, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Like that. And then just put the lid on it and you are ready to serve. Okay guys, so we went ahead and ate dinner, and I didn't get the clip that I normally got because we were ready to have dinner. We were waiting on these for a while, but I just wanted to let you guys know that if you don't want to make the brioche buns, by all means just use regular potato buns or burger buns. Whatever your heart desires is fine, because these really do make massive buns. I just cut them in half and then put the filling in, like the sauce and the chicken and the pickles on top. It is really a quite filling meal. If you don't want to make that many pieces of chicken, say for instance you have a smaller family or whatever, if you're cooking for a crowd, you can certainly double it. Just use one chicken breast, cut it in half, and then cut those halves in half, and then just follow the rest of the recipe. Or you can do 2 chicken breasts, cut in half, and then cut those in half. Whatever you want to do is fine. You can certainly switch out the spices if you want to. That's fine. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And you can always find my recipes in my description box below. Just click on the link where it says my blog, and it'll take you right there to my website, and you can print out the recipe and give it a try. So yeah, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.